Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining me at the table this week for another great episode here at Catholic Table Talk Podcast. Hey, we're cruising through these episodes and wouldn't be possible without your continued support, so thank you for that. Don't forget to write us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. It really helps us kind of reach more people that way. Also, if you have feedback or comments or whatever, if this show has inspired you in this episode, drop them down in the comments below as well. Show topics, speak requests, merchandise, sponsorship, all that can be found with more information at catholictt@gmail.com. That's our email, Catholic with two T's at gmail.com. Flying solo today on this kind of part one of, for sure, two, if not more, of notes I took during Lent. Now, again, it doesn't really matter what time you listen to the show, but just going back to Lent is a very special time as we try to give up, as we sacrifice, as we turn back to the Lord during those 40 days. And what this past Lent, what I did was, I listened to a lot of cool podcasts. I learn as much about the church, the faith as I can. Um, I, I always joke about, I always forget the not so important stuff. For example, if you know me personally, you know I'm a very big sports fan. I can tell you pretty much anything about the NFL that you want me to, that you want to know. But when it comes to real life, I don't really keep that, the things I really should keep a hold of. Whether that's stuff with my car, whether that's stuff with other things. I just can't really keep that. So I need to write notes. And, so like same thing with the faith. I listen to podcasts or I have people come on my own show and I just maybe forget what they say and it's inspiring at that moment, but next day comes and you're like, oh, back to the same old thing. So I took notes, especially, and also this is big during COVID because I took notes while we were doing Mass at home. We listened to Father Mike Schmitz at home a lot during COVID shutdown. And I still have, I'm looking at my notes from Father Mike Schmidt's homily, during some of those times right now. Um, I still have them up on my desk. So again, notes is a big thing. So, this is what I'm just gonna be going through. I just jotting down notes from different podcasts and stuff that I learned about doing that I thought was inspiring, and I want to maybe keep that. So again, I actually haven't really looked at them much since I wrote them down. So this is a good review for me as well. So again, a short day. I do say, if you need to take a pause, and pray about a certain thing that I talk about, whether it's a quote, whether that's a fact, whatever, and kind of let God talk to you about it, go way ahead, or use a time that we normally would have still doing the show to take that time to do that as well. Because again, this is very, I think, very good, and that's something that we maybe hear a lot, some of these things, but it's good to hear it again. So, without further ado, make sure I'm still on, which I am. So, again, these are notes from podcasts and stuff that I listen to, and other things that I have jotted down during this past Lent. It's just kind of getting a way to know the faith more and trying to go closer to God during that time. So, so again, I'm going to do a few of these. Again, I'll try to go slow again. If you need to pause it, go right ahead. If at any point, if you want to come back to it, by all means do that. So the first one I wrote down was be real this Lent, meaning dig deep into your life and see what draws you away from God. And then again, this is a great thing during Lent. It's a great thing during even Advent. But it's also, again, during the Lenten season, we are called to kind of, after Lent, we are called to kind of move that, to keep it going. We're not just called to go closer to God just for 40 days of the year and say, okay, I can kind of do whatever I want the rest of the year. So be real and dig deep into your life and see what draws you away from God. So you kind of root that out. Ask God for humility. That gives you the love you should have. We all are called to being humble and have humility, but we all know it's very, very hard. So ask and pray to God for that every single day of your life. Our guardian angels are not our own. They are from God to us. They are a gift from God to us. It's like the same thing. Everything that we have is not really ours because it comes from God in one way or the other. So our guardian angel is not our pet, for example, right? It's not, I mean, pets come from, but you know what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, he's mine, blah, blah. No, they're a gift from God, and we should um, ask for their accession, ask for their help in that way because, I mean, again, God didn't have to give us guardian angels for each and every one of us, but He did. Or guardian angels just to seek for us, which I think we all know that. So again, like Mother Mary, all the saints, or guardian angels are more than happy to intercede for us, and they help and they assist us in our daily activities, even though they can't see them. When talking to someone about the faith, don't go in thinking you're gonna win them over right away, because probably you're not. Especially, no offense to our Protestant friends, but we all know if we get talking with Protestant friends, we sometimes it's always like you're always going to end up on a heated conversation eventually. Like it doesn't matter. Maybe that's on the Eucharist, maybe that's on the confession, maybe that's on Mary, whatever. You're always going to kind of get in a heated argument. So don't go in thinking, okay, I'm going to talk to this person, and by the end of our conversation, they're going to become a baptized Catholic. It's probably not going to happen. Ask questions about why they think about what they think about the faith, and be attentive and listen to them. Because let them just plant the seed, like God to the West. We become idol worshippers when we take control of our lives, but when we are tired of waiting on God. I mean, that's the same thing. We're just being too impatient, and we try to take things into our own lives. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very at work and at trying to get a schedule. It has to be according to the schedule. If something goes off track or I'm waiting on someone, I get kind of impatient. And it's the same thing with God. Is we try to trust in Him, we believe in Him, but you know we don't want to wait for the answer that might take 5 years down the road for Him to answer on His time that we should wait on what we want right now. And you should also fast. Again, not really doesn't mean out all the time from food, but from other things. Fast. I mean, nothing builds you up more than fasting. Nothing builds, including your spirit, up more than fasting. So fast, and again, fast daily. Fast. Again, this is not fasting from food. It can be fasting from your phone, fasting from whatever. Native attitude, whatever. Ask for like we said, ask for humility and seek out the good of others. Again, do be humble. Seek out what's good for others. That's what God calls us to do. When we love our neighbor, we are loving God. The greatest commandment. When we love our neighbor, we are loving God, because God is love. That is the greatest commandment. The greatest two commandments are connected. So he says, you shall love your Lord your God with all your mind, heart, soul, and strength. Like I said, that one long word, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Those are actually connected because what is God? God is love. So there you go. Do not babble through the altar like we always tend to do. Like the pagans. Say it devoutly, otherwise it can be almost sinful. Because if you're not really given true attentive and worship and prayer to the Almighty, then you're kind of basically just kind of disregarding Him. Um, in the Our Father, Thy will be done is meant to live in the truth of Christ and bring others to Him. Bishop Strickland says Christ's will be done, not our will, in life's decisions. So Thy will be done. It goes back to like we talked about, when we try to take control of our lives. All forces, Thy will be done, not my will be done, or my will be done on my time. So again, if you need a pause, any of this digest or whatever, feel free to do that. But in the church, 3 things need to be visible: the tabernacle, the altar, and the crucifix. The finger towel is what the priest uses to dry his hands. The purificator is what is used to dry the chalice and from Jesus' body and blood, and the cruet is what the servers bring the wine and the water in. Again, most of you probably know this, but it's good to have a reminder, and for those who don't know, it's good, especially if you're a fresh at ultra serving. It's a kind of good thing. I remember ultra serving, and Father says, bring the cruet over," and you're like, "What's a cruet?" And he's like, "Oh, well, it's the things that have the, you know, right before the offering, the bread, the water, and the wine in them." Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So it's good, good things to know. You are not something, but you are someone. God made animals for us, not for us for the animals. A dog or cat can't ask the question, "Why am I suffering?" But we can. We can ask God that question because we have dominion over the animals, and animals can't ask that. So again, if your dog or your cat has a hurt leg, they can't say, "Why am I suffering?" They probably are in a lot of pain, but they can't ask that question. Where we can say if something happens, if or if something you can become ill like cancer or something, you can say, "Why God? Why have you brought this upon me? Why are you letting me have the suffering? Why where animals can't do that?" So again, we have dominion, like God gave Adam dominion over all the animals, and He named them. We have dominion over them, not us over them, not them over us. We'll have a few more here, and then we'll wrap up the show. Lent is a great time to ask, "Do I love God? Or do I love the benefits of Him? Like food, money, fame, etc. Look at your job. Abraham and Isaac, they didn't hesitate to do God's will and bless God in all times of hardship. Abraham and Isaac is called is called a dangerous story, and one we cannot pass by without going deeper. Um, so again, there's like everything in Scripture. There's always something more to it. The story is not what you just read and think about. It's a lot more deeper. So again, do I love God, or do I just love what comes from God? In terms of like, I may go back to the angels. It's like, yeah, I love them, but do I love them more than God? Do I love other stuff more than God? So again, Lent is a great time to do that, but also any other time during the year. And Jesus wants a little bit of our time, and we should want the best for the Lord, no matter how much it might cost. It might be time, talent, treasure. Um, you know, whether that's that Eucharistic possession, Congress, revival, whether that's spending hour or two of adoration, whether that's going to daily mass, whatever. God wants a little bit of our time. And it doesn't matter if you're stopping at church and say hello for 10 minutes on your way to work. Um, Jesus just wants you to go out of your way to spend time with Him. And that's what we should do. And I think you guys know this one a lot, but Judah means praise, and Numbers chapter 12, spies were out to the promised land, and two of them said, "We can take them," and the other 10 said, "No, we spent 4 years and no, we can't take them." So they spent 4 years in the desert. So again, Judah means praise, and praise goes up first. So I always sing praise go first. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states, "You shall love your wife or husband, children, and everyone." We are called to love people in our own lives, no matter if married, single, family, or non-family. We don't wander around the world looking for our other half, like your spouse. And they say this. It's not like, "Well, where's my other half? I need my other half because I gotta get my wife or I gotta get my husband because they're my other half. I'm not a full person until I marry that girl or I marry that man. I'm only half a person." No, you are a full person as you are. We are full people before we get married. Because how about those people who don't get married? So then those are only half people too? Like if a priest, he's only half a person because he's not married? Or or I mean, just even someone single. We all probably know one, maybe a single person in our lives. They are not a full person because they're not married. So you can say, okay, I'm looking for a spouse. I'm looking, but don't say, well, I'm looking for my other half, my better half, because you know, he or she's out there somewhere. But I'm not a full person until I get married. Well, that's not true. Ask the Lord to be with Ask the Lord to be with him on the cross, in the tomb, to be closer to him and carry your cross. So again, ask him to have you enter into his passion, death, and resurrection. Okay, we got about 6 more couple quotes here before we end the show. Ask yourself about the church. Is it true? Should I stay with it? Jesus said in the Bible about his church. So yes, it's the true church. He founded it. Jesus said to Peter, on this rock, and Peter became the first pope. Peter, on this rock, my rock, on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of another world will not prevail against it. So the Catholic Church is here to stay, whether people like it or not. Whether Satan tries to destroy it, like God kind of gave him, said, yeah, I can try to destroy it in how many years, or um, whoever is against the Catholic Church, no matter how much you persecute it, it's always going to prevail because it's here, it's found by Jesus, it's protected by God, it's going to stay here. And so us Catholics need to be strong, united together, no matter what persecution comes our way. You make the sign of the cross, right? And then Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, at the beginning and at the end of the Mass, as we enter into the Mass and as we close out the Mass of that time together. God made us good. Do our Adam's fall, in sin, we have made a choice to turn away from God, due the envy of the devil and us. So again, Satan tries to lure us away, but again, it's our envy and stuff that we turn away from God, and it's our choice, it's our freedom. And again, this is one thing I think Protestants really don't understand is just the choice. That they understand the choice, I think, they just don't understand the significance of our freedom, of the choice that we can have to follow God or to turn away from God. I mean, even the just man can sing 7 times a day, Jesus said. Give God your everything. Worship, work, fasting, etc. every day. Because nothing is wasted with God. So give, again, that's why it's great to wake up in the morning and just say, God, I give this day to you. And my prayers, works, sufferings, and joys of this day. Give this day to you, everything. And even though some of it seems like it's falling apart, God is in control. Like we said, Judah means praise, so let praise and worship go up first in the day. Give thanks to the Lord before anything else. Because if you, I do it. I go on my phone sometimes before I do anything. Or maybe you get up and you have breakfast, and you wasting one with kids trying to get them away for school. It's hard to really, but again, this is a few seconds of just spending quiet time with God before you get up. New Numbers and Deuteronomy are really great books. If you have not read them or don't really know much about them, if you read them together, and they are important like all the books in the Bible. Not they're more important than Genesis, or they're more important than Isaiah. No, they are all the books in the Bible are very important, so you should not glass over them. Last one of the day. Do you put prayer first or other things? Again, like I just said, we always say we don't have time for prayer, but we do. We make hours of things to take up our time, so again, make sure you pray a lot before and during and at the end of the day, so you can keep God in your life and keep on focus on what really is important in your life, which is God, and spend time with Him, even if it's a little bit of time, you know. Like a priest might ask you, do you have a prayer life? Well, okay, maybe I pray like half an hour a day, but at least you're putting the time in. You can always improve on that. So, that's it for today. Again, if you want to meditate on it, I would highly recommend ask God, see what, hopefully it's touched you. Hopefully, not, can kind of go over your conscience a little bit and see what needs to be done. Again, we'll see you next time for part two, and make sure you share it with friends and family because, again, this is our stuff that we probably know, but it's stuff that we should never really forget. So I thank you for your time today, and we'll see you next time on the podcast. Go to the segment, stay in the same grace, and God willing, we'll see you next week.